Good evening, everybody. My name is Angelus21241, and obviously this is my very first YouTube video. What we're going to be doing tonight is that I'm going to be telling 3 stories. 2 of them are scary stories that have been told throughout the country, and I will be telling one very popular legend that some of you may know, some of you may not know, but the legend is based on a being called the Slenderman. And the 2 scary stories I will be telling will be from the Holder series from creepypasta.com, which I highly recommend that you guys check out. And the second one will be from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, and it is called the Wendigo. So, without further ado, let's get started with the first one. This one is titled The Holder of Fear. In any city, in any country, go to any mental institution or halfway house you can get yourself into. When you reach the front desk, ask to visit someone who calls himself the Holder of Fear. If the time is right, the attendant will lead you to a closet with no floor. With a malicious grin, the worker will shove you into the hole and close the door. As you fall through the abyss, you cannot feel any fear. If you do, you will immediately hit the spike-ridden bottom of the pit and meet a gruesome death. If you remain resolute, your fall will eventually slow and stop, leaving you in a room soaked in darkness. Into the darkness, you must speak only one thing. What is their weapon? Immediately, the room will be illuminated. Surrounding you will be everything you fear, and in the center will be a creature who will take the resemblance of your greatest fear. Not even once can you flinch or shrink away from this creature, or it will dismember you in the most painful way possible. You must stare at your greatest fear while it tells you its story in excruciating detail. It will tell you all the fears in the world, from the tiniest to the greatest, and all their horribleness. When it is finished, the creature will ask what you fear. Now you must confess all your fears to the creature without looking around the room. If you miss even one, you will be consumed by your own terror, leaving nothing but a shell remaining. If you confess all your fears, the creature will scream, and the scream will send you hurtling through the wall behind you. When you stop moving, you will be across from the closet you entered earlier, and in the closet will be a mirror. That mirror is object 35 of 583. It reflects your greatest fear, and that is their weapon. Well, that was pretty interesting. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let's get started with the second one now. The second one is called the Wendigo. The Wendigo. A wealthy man wanted to go hunting in a part of northern Canada where few people had ever hunted. He traveled to a trading post and tried to find a guide to take him, but no one would do it. It was too dangerous, they said. Finally, he found an Indian who needed money badly, and he agreed to take him. The Indian's name was Defago. They made camp in the snow near a large frozen lake. For 3 days they hunted, but they had nothing to show for it. On the 3rd night, a windstorm came up. They lay in their tent listening to the wind howling, and the trees whipping back and forth to see the storm better. The hunter opened the tent flap, and what he saw startled him. There wasn't a breath of air stirring, and the trees were perfectly standing still. Yet he could hear the wind howling, and the more he listened, the more it sounded as if it were calling Defago's name. Defago, it called. Defago. I must be losing my mind, the hunter thought, but Defago had gotten out of his sleeping tent. He was huddled in a corner of the tent, his head buried in his arms. What's this all about? The hunter asked. It's nothing, Defago said. But the wind continued to call him, and Defago became more tense and restless. Defago, it called. Defago! Suddenly he jumped to his feet, and he began to run from the tent. but the hunter grabbed him and wrestled him to the ground. "You can't leave me out here," the hunter shouted. Then the wind called again, and Defago broke loose and ran into the darkness. The hunter could hear him screaming as he went. Again and again he cried, "Oh, my fiery feet, my burning feet of fire!" Then his voice faded away, and the wind died down. At daybreak the hunter followed Defago's tracks in the snow. They went through the woods, down toward the lake, then out into the ice. But soon he noticed something strange. The steps Defago had taken got longer and longer. They were so long, no human being could have taken them. It was as if something had helped him to hurry away. The hunter followed the tracks out to the middle of the lake, but then they disappeared. At first he thought that Defago had fallen through the ice, but there wasn't any hole. Then he thought that something had pulled him off the ice and into the sky, but that made no sense. As soon as he stood wondering what had happened, the wind picked up again. Soon it was howling as it had the night before. Then he heard Defago's voice. It was coming up from above. And again he heard Defago screaming, "My fiery feet, my burning feet of fire!" But there was nothing to be seen. Now the hunter wanted to leave that place as fast as he could. He went back to camp and packed what he had. Then he left some food for Defago and he started out. Weeks later he reached civilization. The following year he went back to hunt in that area again. He went to the same trading post to look for a guide. The people there could not explain what had happened to Defago that night, but they had not seen him since then. "Maybe it was the wendigo," one of them said, and he laughed. "It's supposed to come with the wind. It drags you along at great speed until your feet are burned away, and more of you than that. Then it carries you in the sky, and it drops you." It's just a crazy story, but that's what some of the Indians said. A few days later, the hunter went to that trading post again. An Indian came in and sat down by the fire. The hunter thought there was something familiar about him. He wore a hat and had a blanket wrapped around his face, and he sat close to the fire trying to warm himself. The hunter walked over and he asked the Indian, "Are you Defago?" The Indian didn't answer. "Do you know anything about him?" No answer. He began to wonder if there was something wrong, if the man needed help. But he couldn't see his face. "Are you all right?" he asked. To get a good look at him, he lifted the Indian's hat. Then he screamed. There was nothing under the hat but a pile of ashes. Okay, this one is based on the Slenderman. In local legend, the Slenderman is believed to be a man or creature dressed in a black business suit, like the ones worn by the men in black, and he is exactly 9 feet tall. Some people say that he has tentacles that grows out of his arms. Many people call him different things. In Germany, they call him Der Grofman, and they say that he takes away bad children who lie, and the only way that the child can avoid by being taken by Der Grofman on the night he comes to take him is by admitting to the kid or by admitting to the parent everything that he did that was wrong. In some stories, they say that he has the power to be able to control your body and to basically drive you insane. And other people believe that he just kidnaps his victims on ill will alone. A lot of people don't know what his motives are, but it's pretty crazy. I know that in one story I've read, there was a mother who ended up having an encounter with the tall man, and the tall man wanted to have the mother sacrifice her kid. The kid didn't listen, and it ended up in the death of both her and her father. And if you guys want to know more about the Slenderman, you should go look him up on creepypasta.com. But I recommend that you guys check it out. Well guys, this is it. Hope you guys like some of the stories I told and the small little legend I told about the tall man, aka Slenderman. Next week, when I post another video, I'll hopefully have a story based on the Slenderman. I really don't know that much about him except from what I've read here on the site. So hit the like rating, subscribe to my channel. Peace.